Hi, good morning everyone. So this is teacher Marianne. So for today's session, we will be having a review session about stylistics and discourse analysis, okay? So first, let's proceed with our first question. I'll be giving you questions with choices, and then you're going to guess what is the correct answer, okay? So the first question would be, in a horror story, the sentence "the door creak and then silence" creates tension primarily through first choice, figurative language, letter B, ellipsis and pacing, C, formal diction, letter D, technical vocabulary. So let me give you 5 seconds to answer the question. What is the correct answer, guys? Alright, the correct answer would be letter B. So here, ellipsis and short, dramatic pacing slow down the action and build suspense, which is why it is usually being used in horror film. It is a stylistic technique often used in horror so that we could keep the attention of maybe the watchers or the readers. Okay? So now, let's figure it out. Why is it not a figurative language, a formal diction, or a technical vocabulary? It is not a figurative language because there's no metaphor, simile, or symbolic imagery, basically the elements of figurative language. Also, it's not a formal diction as well because the language used is plain. Okay, it is not elevated. Also, it is not technical vocabulary because we did not use technical terms or specialized words. So, I hope that clarifies the confusion. Now, we're done with number 1. Let's proceed to number 2. So, the question is, in political discourse, a speaker repeatedly used the phrase "as we all know." What discourse strategy is being used? Letter A, euphemism. Letter B, presupposition. Letter C, irony. Letter D, code switching. I'll give you again 5 seconds to answer that question. Alright, 5 seconds is up. So the answer is letter B. Since presupposition, it is when the speaker assumes something is already accepted as true, or basically pushing the audience toward agreement without a debate, making them feel that they already know that and basically that's a fact. So that is how "as we all know" being used in some sentences or in most of the sentences, right? So now let's answer why it is not euphemism, irony, code switching. What's the difference? It is not euphemism because there's no substitution of a harsh or bland term with a mild one. Okay? And then it is not an irony as well because the phrase is not used sarcastically or with a contradictory intent. Okay? Letter D, it is not also code switching because the speaker is not shifting between languages or dialects. Okay? I hope that clarifies it. Okay? So that's it for the second question. Let's proceed to the third one. Alright, third question. Which of the following best illustrates an author's distinctive voice in stylistic analysis? First, the use of citations and sources. Letter B, the rhythm and tone shaped by syntax and word choice. Letter C, the frequency of transitions between paragraphs. Letter D, the page layout and formatting. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer it. Alright, 5 seconds is up. The correct answer is letter B. So the reason for that is because an author's voice is stylistically shaped through how they construct sentences. Choose words and maintain basically a certain rhythm or tone throughout the text or throughout the storyline. Okay, so now the question is why it is not letter A, C, and D. It is not letter A because citation shows research, not personal voice. You don't need citation or sources here. Okay, it's not related to that. And then letter C, basically, frequency of transition, it also affects the organization of the text, not the tone of the author, tone of voice of the author. Okay, letter C, it is because layout is more on visual. It is not when it comes to stylistic, it is not related to the tone of voice of the author. Okay, that's it for number 3. Let's proceed to number 4. Okay, fourth question. A novel begins with a flashback and then moves to present events. This shift in narrative time is an example of A. Anaphora, B. Temporal discourse structure, C. Metaphor, and D. Register switching. What is the correct answer? I'll give you 5 seconds. Alright, the correct answer is letter B. Because when it comes to shifting time between past and present, and especially in storytelling, it actually reflects how time is managed within the discourse, which is a key area in narrative discourse analysis, which is why it's temporal discourse structure, because basically it has a relation how the narrative will shift, especially how time will be managed within the discourse. Okay, so it is not anaphora because anaphora is the repetition of words or phrases at the start of clauses, and we're talking about time here. It is not also metaphor because there is no comparison involved, and it's not also register switching because when we say register shifting, it refers to shifting between formal and informal styles. But here, we're talking about time. Alright, let's proceed to number 5. In analyzing the praise the wind whispered through the trees, which stylistic feature stands out most? A. Intertextuality. Letter B. Personification. Letter C. Dexis. And D. Cohesion. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer it. Okay, the correct answer is letter B, personification. Personification because basically it is about giving human qualities to non-human elements, especially we're talking about the wind here, the wind whispered, and whispering is a classic stylistic device to evoke imagery and mood. It is not intertextuality because this is not referencing another text, right? Also, it is not dexis because expression like this, here or now are also used. Cohesion, it is not also cohesion because it involves linking ideas in a text, not the figurative language seen here. Okay, it was not observed here. Okay, that's it for number 5. Alright, number 6. A speaker constantly repeats keywords like freedom and choice in campaign speech. This repetition is used to A. Improve phonology. Letter B. Signal grammatical accuracy. Letter C. Reinforce ideology. Letter D. Demonstrate multilingual ability. Let me give you 5 seconds again. Correct answer would be letter C. So basically, repetition of emotionally charged or ideologically powerful words strengthen the message, because the more you repeat it, the more the audience would understand it, and it would the audience would have a better understanding of what you're saying. It will also retain to their memory better if you repeat it multiple times. Okay, so now why it is not letter A, B, and C? It is not A because this is not about sounds or pronunciation, right? Because when we say phonology, it's about more on sounds or pronunciation. It is not also letter B because repetition doesn't relate to grammar correctness. Letter C, the speaker is not switching languages. Okay? I hope that answers the confusion. Let's proceed to number 7. We're almost done. Alright, number 7. What stylistic technique is present in the sentence? Boom! The door slammed open as lightning struck. Letter A, onomatopoeia. Letter B, euphemism. C, cohesion. Letter D, ellipsis. This is an obvious answer, so let me give you 3 seconds. Yes, it is letter A, onomatopoeia. So, boom is an example of onomatopoeia, words that imitates real sounds, which adds vividness and intensity to the narrative. So, it is very obvious that it's not euphemism because it is about softening of harsh terms is happening. But we did not observe that in this sentence. It is not also letter C because cohesion, it's about more logical or structural flow between ideas. And also, it is not letter D or ellipsis because nothing has been omitted here, right? So, that's it for number 7. Let's proceed to number 8. Alright, number 8 in stylistics, what does the term foregrounding mean? Letter A, using italics or bold fonts in written text. Letter B, highlighting an unexpected or deviant language feature to draw attention. Letter C, providing background context for clarity. Letter D, using familiar proverbs or cliches. Okay? The correct answer is... Correct answer is letter B. So, foregrounding occurs when an element deviates from linguistic norms or expectations, making it stand out and forcing the reader to pay attention to it. That is foregrounding. So, obviously, it is not letter A because we're talking, if letter A, it's about using italics or bold fonts in written text. And it is not a linguistic one. Okay? And then letter C, it is not also providing background because that's the opposite of foregrounding. Letter D, it is not also about proverbs or cliche because those are basically conventional or not deviant, or basically it is not attention grabbing. Let's proceed to number 9. We're almost done. Alright, number 9, what does the use of repeated and then in a storytelling signify in children's speech? Letter A, poor grammar. Letter B, temporal cohesion and narrative development. Letter C, hypercorrection. And letter D, code switching. What's the answer? It is letter B. So, just like what you know, children often use and then to build the sequence of a story. Basically, when you say and then, it will be another part of the story. It is basically showing an early grasp of temporal cohesion and structuring events. So, obviously, it is not letter A because it is not about, it is not grammatically incorrect, the use of and then. It is not also letter C or hypercorrection because when we say hypercorrection, this refers to overlapping, when we say hypercorrection, just like what I've mentioned, it refers to over-applying grammatical rules incorrectly. It's not that as well. Letter D, code switching, there's no shift between languages or dialects. So it's not letter D. Okay? Final answer would be letter B. Alright, we're almost done. And actually, this is the last question. So we're done after this. So make sure that you listen carefully to answer it correctly, okay? For the last time. So number 10 in political discourse, what does the use of the inclusive we or we must act now, an example of that, what does it want to achieve? Letter A, clarifies scientific authority. Letter B, diverts from individual accountability. Letter C, builds solidarity and group identity. Letter D, indicates narrative progression. What is the correct answer? You have 5 seconds to answer it. Alright, correct answer is letter C. Okay? So, just like what you know, using we invites the audience into a shared course. Basically, it's not when you say we, it's about basically including everyone, making them feel belong, making them feel included. It actually builds solidarity and suggesting unity in goals or responsibility. Okay, which is why it is letter C. It is not A, obviously, because we is about social inclusion, not scientific roles. Letter B, it's not that as well because that's more about avoidance than building identity. Also, it's not letter D because we doesn't signal movement in a story by using the we word. Okay. I hope you find it informational, this video, and thank you very much for listening. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I hope you learned something useful today and enjoy the rest of your day. Again, this is Teacher Marianne. Bye-bye.